What's up guys, welcome back to my channel, Earn It, Save It, Invest It. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly what the war with Iran could mean for the stock market. I'm sure you've heard US has dropped some bombs on their nuclear sites, on Iran's nuclear sites, and that could mean something brewing in the next few weeks, right? So that got me to think, well, what happens when we get into a war, whether we're, entering a war or someone, people are fearful that Iran is going to attack American soil in some way or, attack our troops in some way. So I went to go look and see, what does the stock market do? Because as much as war will it will affect us. It can affect our consumption, what we're buying, the prices, right? Especially oil, which we'll go over that later. It can affect people who are serving, right? The families of people who are serving. But there are some people like me who it doesn't really affect too much. Again, gas prices and this and that, but I do have money in the stock market. And so that does have me thinking, well, okay, what does this war also mean for my money? So I'm going to break it down really quick, exactly the wars that we have entered, what happened in the stock market that time, and what happened, soon after. And I'm just going to quickly break it down. So yeah, let's get into it. Before I do, just all I ask is a quick like and subscribe. Does a lot for my channel, trying to grow. So yeah, let's break it down really quick. So World War II started December 7th, 1941. That was Pearl Harbor. And as you can see, when Pearl Harbor started, we were already, this is in 1942, we had peaked in 1937, and then we had already started coming down. We had a big free fall drop for about a year, and then we kind of bounced back up a little bit, and then we continued to go down. So World War II essentially, I wouldn't say stopped the crash, but it happened at the end of the crash. There's this saying, war is about money, war is all, war makes money. Usually you have war and money connected, so that is true. So Pearl Harbor, that was one. And some of these other ones, occupation of Attu and Kiska and balloon bomb kill 6. So these are two incidents that were attacks on American soil. And I just wanted to see, when another country attacks us, and this was Japan, because we were going through World War II, what happened to the stock market. And as you can see, even though we had entered the war here, and then we had continued attacks, and the war ended here, where the purple is, that's how long the war lasted. As you can see, we actually, as the war ended, then we kind of dropped, right? But that is what it is. So now, as you can see here, Korean War. So I'm going to go look really quick. Korean War, June 25th, 1950 to 1953. Yeah, I guess I'll just stay on the charts. It's a little easier, right? So now we have the Korean War, June 1950. And as you can see, we were already starting to come up. And this month, yes, bad month. So you could say maybe in the next few weeks, if this, like I said, in the next couple of weeks, we're going to find out what this really transpires to, these attacks on their nuclear plants. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens in the next few weeks. It could actually get pretty choppy and we can actually go down a little bit. But then in the next few months after, we'll end up back up. This is just, based on this one spot. But it's a possibility, right? The Korean War, we started, boom, we dropped, and then continued to go up and up and up. We started to drop a little bit, we ended, and then we had a boost. Vietnam War was a really long war. I am not a great historian. I do not know my American history as much as I probably should. I was a little surprised to see exactly how long Vietnam War. So, but yeah, this is, as you can see, the stock market was pretty choppy, but it ended up. Let's see exactly how much it ended up. Somewhere around here, 81%. Yeah, somewhere around there, 81%. Now, 81% over, 7,000 days. It was 20 years. That is not good performance. That's horrible performance, but we were in a really long war that we should not have been in, and it's the war that we actually lost, right? So not a great war, but as you can see, we entered it here. We entered the war here, and we kind of went up, and then we went down, and then we continued to just go up and up and up, and we had some really big corrections and crashes, kind of like these are some crashes right here. Those are some major crashes. But what happens at the end? We end up getting out of it, right? We end up getting out of it, boosting up, right? Now we have Gulf War, Operation Desert Storm. So this was a month-long operation. It was really quick, and as you can see, it didn't really do much. We have the World Trade Center bombing, and obviously that led us to, World Trade Center bombing. This was in Oklahoma, or not in Oklahoma. World Trade Center bombing, this happened in 93. This was the first one that happened. There was, I was thinking of the Oklahoma City bombing, because I was looking up attacks on American soil, but there were, even though there were people who were radicals and stuff, I really wanted it to be about other countries attacking us. And even though this wasn't exactly a, when I go to the next one, 9/11, right? Because over here, this was not as big, right? Not as big as the second World Trade Center, which wasn't state operated, right? It was a terrorist attack, but it still led us getting into a war, which lasted years and years and years, right? All the way through this war against ISIS, all through this. 9/11, as you can see, we had a big drop when we entered the war. Everything happened. That was a huge attack on our country, right? So went down, and you can see within 3 months we were back up, and then obviously we were way back down. Now, granted, we were also still in a free fall from the tech bubble. We were already in a big stock market crash that was going to have to crash regardless, and then we entered the war, so that it was like a double whammy. That's kind of what happened there. But as you can see, when we actually officially entered also the Iraq war, we really, it continued to push up. It was resilient. Then we had the Great Financial Crisis. This is a Great Financial Crisis. Had nothing, absolutely nothing. This has nothing to do with the war. Nothing. Right? Here's the war against ISIS, and we're going up, and it's like, look, this was COVID. Had nothing to do with our war against ISIS. So, yes, if Iran does something to us and they attack us, yeah, it could definitely, cause some markets to correct, and, but when you look at it long term, I mean, when you look at 9/11, which was the biggest attack on us, I mean, since since World War II, right? Since Pearl Harbor. That was, Vietnam War was a war that we entered, we got into, but Pearl Harbor was the biggest, like a big attack. And I mean, again, we're already in a stock market free fall, so that does help this scenario. But the fact is that we were in a big war, and the stock market went up. It went up. So, just because we get into a war with Iran doesn't mean that, the stock market's going to go down. Now, I do believe if you look at more of a recent chart, we're kind of looking like we're going to go down a little bit. Let me see if I can find my other charts. Okay, yeah, so here's my chart for the QQQ. And this is what I was saying was that, typically in these triangles that we have, this one was this was just horrible. It was 2022. We typically have a point where you get close to the top and you bounce back down in some way, right? Over here you bounce up and then you bounce down. This was a COVID crash, forget about that. Right over here is 2018, you bounce up and then we bounce down. Here we bounced up, and it just seems like we hit a ceiling at some point. Like even here, I mean, we didn't too much, but over here we bounced back down a little bit, but here there was no bounce down. It was just a straight free fall and then just going right back up. So I don't know. I've been saying that I think something's there's two scenarios in my mind. There's two scenarios. And of course, I guess, yeah, I'm kind of taking out of the three options. I'm taking the two. I'm going to say the stock market's going to go up or down, but this is how I think it's going to go down. If it does, it's going to bounce from right now, and it's going to continue to go down for a little bit while all of this stuff corrects itself, and then it can go up again. It also has a chance of going up. I feel like once it officially passes this line, once it actually gets out of this line right here, it's going to go up. You know, like see how this went up 7%. It pushed up pretty heavily right after. Right when we actually get out of a triangle, we seem to really push. You know, the stock market pushes heavily right out of it and before it corrects itself. So if we find our way getting out of this triangle, I do believe the stock market will push up fast, you know, faster than what people might think. I just think it's going to go up. Or we're going to have one of these, you know, one of these triangles maybe, or one like this, or maybe even, you know, something like this where we get it and then we're back down, you know, because this 2018, this was Trump. This was Trump again. This was his tariffs and all of that. Now, we didn't have the Iran factor in there. So we'll see. We'll see what this leads to. Obviously, there's some economic stuff, as you can see, that, you know, the futures have gone down. Currently, this is right now, we're talking Sunday night. The futures are down, you know, about 0.5% on everything. So, you know, by the time you see this 100%, we've already gone through days of, you know, unless you're one of the top 10 that have seen this. But, you know, most of you are going to see this outside of today, and you will probably have seen the impact already of what this war is going to do. Right? By the time you see this, the war has already taken, I don't want to call it a war, the attacks that we have done on Iran, that the effects from that are going to now come into light. They're going to start playing into effect, right? It says Dow futures slide as oil rises following the U.S. bombing of Iran. So, you know, the saying the oil prices are jumping, and of course there's, you hear, I don't want to say conspiracy theories, but they're definitely extreme theories of, you know, how much a barrel of oil is going to go to. And, you know, there's going to be a lot of worry. When there's worry and uncertainty and stuff, that's when things start to go down. And when things start to go down over worry and uncertainty, don't sell. Just keep buying. This is why having the strategy of having a budget, just a meaningful budget for your investments that you can put in every week or 2 weeks. So that way when things go down, you're still okay with it. You're actually like, okay, fine. You know, again, this age does matter. Even if you're in your 40s, you have probably 20 years to really need this money, right? I mean, this is more of like, this is not for traders and stuff like that. This is more for like people who want to make the investments. And so if you still have even 10 years, but 20 years, 30 years, 40 years ahead of you, you have plenty of time. Just leave it in. Just keep buying at the discounts. So, you know, that's what I'm going to be doing. This week I have $50 to play around with. Next week I'll have $50 to play around with. And the week after that, $50. So, you know, and then occasionally, like I did say, there will be times where I might put in an extra 50 or something like that when I'm like, hey, the market looks really good right now, or it looks like a good buy opportunity. I think I'm going to just take advantage of it. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And most likely, I'm going to say, because I have I haven't even looked at HIMS on the after hours, but if HIMS, which here I'll actually do, if HIMS is doing bad after hours, that means my portfolio is going to be doing bad after hours. Let's see, after hours, it's up. Okay. So, you know, let's see my other one, Amazon. That's a big one, like up. You know, now again, I don't know exactly. We'll see Monday, because this doesn't really matter. Being up 0.5% doesn't really mean anything. But yeah, at the end of the day, keep investing, be consistent, don't worry about it. If they do attack American soil on a big attack, then that is the time to be worried. At the same time, I would still say don't sell unless you're going to sell. Like if it were to happen right now, tomorrow, like, yeah, we're kind of at the top. We're almost near all-time highs. So yeah, if you were to sell right now and we were to get into this big thing, we'd probably crash for a few weeks to months or something like that. So you'd be, if you sold immediately right away before all that and then you started buying more at the bottom. But still, I wouldn't recommend trying to time the market. Just buy while things go down, if they go down, and just be consistent and look for the deals. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you liked this. Click a like and subscribe if you did. And yeah, don't forget to
earn it, save it, invest it, buy low, sell high. I want assets, not liabilities, and you can count on compounded interest.